And today I will be explaining the free response question from 2017, and it will be question number. The question was to write the complete malt practice class. We're given the public interface study practice and two instance variables which you have to implement in the malt practice class, and they are a string called getProblem and a void called nextProblem. The getProblem returns the current practice problem, and nextProblem changes to the next practice problem. So the first thing you do is you create a new class that implements study practice, and then you would write two instance variables called first and second, and then you would write a constructor with the parameters num1 and num2, which are both ints, and the method getProblem also has to be implemented, and that returns the current problem, and the void method nextProblem also has to be implemented, and that increments the second integer. So for your instance variables, you create two private ints, first and second, and you'd write like that. So private int first comma second, and that's initializing the first and second variables as ints, then that are also private. So for your constructor, you would write public malt practice num1 num2 with two parameters, both ints, and you would set first from the first integer from your instance variables equal to num1, and the second integer from your instance variables equal to num2. Or you could make another method that has int first and int second as the parameters, and you would be setting first, this dot first here is equal to this, and this dot second is equal to this second, and the first here and the second here are both the instance variables that you declared in the class. So you're just setting the parameters equal to the instance variables. So for getProblem is a method that takes no parameters and returns the current problem to the console, and it is also called an accessor method, and it returns in the form of the first number times the second number. An example is 6 times in all caps and then 7. And you would write like that. You would return first plus times in quotes because it's a string plus second. And for nextProblem, it is a void method, which means it will not be returning anything. It is a mutator method, and it changes the problem to a new problem by incrementing the integer second by 1. So an example of this is you have 6 times 7 after using the getProblem method, and then when you call nextProblem, 6 times 7 turns into 6 times 8, and so on to 6 times 9 and 10, and it does that each time the method is called. So for this, you would write a void method called nextProblem, and you would increment second up by 1 by just saying second plus plus. And then here is your answer, the final answer. If you combine all the steps that I showed in previous slides, you should be able to get this answer. So up here is the original class that implements study practice, and then you have your and then you have your instance variables here. Oh my god. and here's your instance variables. And then for your constructor, I used the first equals num highlighters don't work. I used the first equals num1 and the second equals num2 to initialize my private instance variables. And then for get problem, there's the return first plus the times string and then plus the second variable. And then for next problem, here's the incrementer, and then there is your final code. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps.